Coming up on today's show, we're going to be breaking down Alabama's playoff chances, some different scenarios out there in which Alabama could get into the college football playoffs or be left out of the college football playoffs. A lot of people out there, including myself, that have absolutely no idea if Alabama will get in or not, but there are definitely some things that can happen this weekend that will help Alabama's chances to get in. So if you guys think Alabama can squeak into the playoffs, make sure you type those RTRs in the comment section of today's video. Definitely think they have a shot, but like I said, they probably need some help, and who knows? It's up to the playoff committee at that point, but there's a lot of different opinions out there. Whether Alabama gets in, whether an SMU win or loss out there, I have no idea. We're just going to have to find out from the committee on Sunday, so make sure you guys spam those RTRs for me right now. All right, before we get into some of those situations for Alabama, let's just go through the top 25 here of the updated college football playoff rankings. You have Memphis at 25. Army slips back into the top 25. They're at number 24. Colorado's at 23. Syracuse at 22. Illinois at that number 21 spot there. UNLV is going to be playing in their conference championship game. They are sitting at that number 20 spot. Missouri, very important there for Alabama to still have another ranked win, even though it might be kind of a fake one. A lot of people don't think Missouri should be in the top 25, but they are as of right now. BYU is at that number 18 spot. Clemson, a very important one that we'll come back to here in a second. They're at that number 17 spot. Iowa State, also another important one there at the 16 spot. Another important one to look at, Arizona State at that number 15 spot. Arizona State and Iowa State will be playing in the Big 12 Championship Game, which does not help Miami out at all. South Carolina is sitting there at number 14. There was a lot of controversy with where South Carolina was going to be placed, but that's where the committee ended up placing them. Ole Miss was there at number 13. Remember a couple of weeks ago, Ole Miss beat the hell out of South Carolina. So I have no problem with putting Ole Miss above South Carolina because of that head-to-head matchup. The one that a lot of people were discussing, Miami or Alabama. Well, Alabama was ahead of Miami at that number 11 spot. Miami, the first team out at that number 12 spot. We'll tell you why here in just a second. Rounding out the top 10 here, though, Boise State at number 10, Indiana at that number 9 spot, SMU, a very important game this weekend, at the number 8 spot, Tennessee at 7, Ohio State is at 6 after their super embarrassing loss against Michigan this past weekend. Georgia is inside the top 5, sitting there at number 5, Notre Dame at 4, Penn State at number 3, Texas at number 2, and then the Oregon Ducks sitting there as the top team in the country in this week's college football playoff rankings. This is a look at what the bracket would look like. Now remember, the rankings are not, one-to-one in terms of where they're actually going to be seated. So when it comes to Alabama, they're ranked number 11. They're also seated at number 11, but you also have kind of those placeholders there for the first round bye. Some of those teams are projected to win their conference there. But a game versus Notre Dame would be very, very fun, I think, going to Notre Dame. Possible snow game for Alabama. That would be absolutely crazy. But a couple of things that I want to mention here. You have Arizona State sitting there at number 12. And like I told you guys, Miami is the number 12 ranked team. But because the Big 12 champion will get into the college football playoffs, they have an automatic bid no matter what. You have both of these teams ranked number 15 and number 16 right now. The winner of this game will knock Miami out of the college football playoff hunt, and there's really nothing they can do about it there because of that automatic bid situation. There's also another situation we'll talk about with Alabama here in just a minute. But let me know in the comment section, do you guys like the format and the seeding process of the college football playoff 12-team format? Type Y for yes or N for no at the pinned comment of today's video. I'll let you guys know my opinion on it here in just a second. But get down there at the pinned comment and let me know what you guys think. I, for one, do not like the seeding process. But at the same time, I have absolutely no idea how to fix it. That's above my pay grade. I'm not the one making those decisions. One of the biggest things, though, I think they really do need to fix, I think you need to get rid of the active conference commissioners and the athletic directors on the college football playoff committee. There's too much biases there. The people on the committee, at the end of the day, they're people, and everybody has biases, and they see things, a different way. So I have no idea why you have, the active conference commissioners and athletic directors on this college football playoff committee. But for right now, I don't like the way the actual rules are when it comes to the seeding process here. I understand that you want conference championships to mean something, and you get the first round bye if you win their conference championship game. But at the end of the day, that's really the only positive thing when it comes to that. You could argue that the Big Ten championship and the SEC championship really have no weight at all. Both teams, all 4 teams of those games are going to make it into the college football playoffs. A couple of years ago, it was if you lose that game, you're probably out of the college football playoffs. And it was kind of a built-in playoff game in itself. Now, you had some different situations in there as well, with Georgia sneaking in with a loss to Alabama at one point. But for the most part, across college football, those conference championship games were elimination games. They were already college football playoff games. So I genuinely, and you got a lot of programs out there right now that don't even want to play in their conference championship game because it hurts them at the end of the day. You had Brett Lashley come out the other day, the coach for SMU, and said, look, if our entire team got COVID today and we had to forfeit the ACC Championship game, we'd be in. Because, like we'll get to in just a little bit, the chairman for the committee said that there's still a possibility that SMU could fall out with a big loss against Clemson. And look, I just hate the at-large bids. I would rather them rank them just 1 through 12 and then seed them 1 through 12. Maybe you could throw a little bit of extra something in there for teams that do win their conference. Maybe if you're inside the top 12, you win your conference championship game. Maybe then you get that first round bye. But I don't think that a team ranked out the top 12 should get into the college football playoffs. Because frankly, right now, I don't even think Alabama should get into the college football playoffs. I don't think Miami should. I don't think South Carolina should. And I definitely don't think Arizona State, Iowa State, Clemson, those teams ranked way outside the top 12 should have any shot of winning a national championship game. Because let's be completely honest with ourselves, who's probably going to win the national championship game this year? It's probably going to be Texas, or it's probably going to be Oregon. Like, expanding the college football playoffs made no sense to me to begin with. Everybody's argument for that was, for parity's sake, to break up the oligarchy. I think Josh Pate said this great the other day. You wanted teams like Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, I think I already said Georgia. Either way, to be Clemson to be out of the college football playoffs. Well, by expanding the college football playoffs and putting in that automatic bid for conference championship games, you're just allowing those same exact teams to be in. Otherwise, it would be Texas, Oregon, Penn State, and whoever the other 4th team was there. At the end of the day. But you're just allowing these teams that you wanted to be out of it to be in it anyway. So I just don't get it. I think it needs to be fixed. And at this point, I'm up for eliminating the rest of the bowl games too. But I'm called crazy every single day when it comes to that. But I definitely do think that the seeding process anyways needs to be fixed. Like I said, I don't think teams ranked outside the top 12 should be put into the college football playoffs. We'll talk about Alabama's situation here in just a second, but first, today's show is presented by Game Time. Game Time has a new feature now called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks is just curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and everything else in between. Game Time has killer last-minute deals. They have all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest prices guaranteed. If you find tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. You could, get tickets to go to Alabama's bowl game if they go to a bowl game. You could go to the college football playoff games as well on Game Time, or you can look ahead and get tickets for Alabama basketball. We ran North Carolina out of their own arena the other night. This basketball team is going to be really, really good, and I am very excited for that. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, Create an account, redeem promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Check out gametime.co for last-minute tickets. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today, because what time is it? It's game time. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. All right, let's go back here to the college football playoff bracket. And like I said, Miami is already going to be the first team out at that number 12 spot for the winner of the Big 12 championship game, or possibly even Clemson, but we'll talk about that more here in just a second. But the real big deal here is that Alabama is ranked number 11 ahead of Miami, and there was a lot of discussion about that and why the committee came to that decision. Two big data points. The committee loves using the word data points out here. The two big data points that they talked about in regards to why Alabama was at that 11 spot and Miami was at the 12 spot. Even though Miami is 10-2, Alabama is 9-3. They have that extra loss. Going up, the record against teams ranked in the top 25. Alabama is 3-1. Miami is 0-1. And the only reason they're 0-1 there is because Syracuse, with that win over Miami, got ranked inside the top 25. I think they're sitting there at that number 22 spot, if I remember correctly there. But look, the strength of schedule has been a massive talking point this season in regards to seeding and ranking in the college football playoffs. The second data point that the committee went to was the record versus teams above 500. Alabama 6-1, Miami is 4-2. Now, obviously, two of those losses that are for Alabama were against teams that were under 500. So that really does suck there. But still, you have a better record against teams above 500 than Miami does. So, in terms of Alabama versus Miami, I do think it's the right decision to put Alabama above Miami. Sure, I'll take it. Absolutely. I am absolutely biased here. I want any excuse to put Alabama into the college football playoffs here. But I do think the reasoning that the committee had to put Alabama where they did makes a little bit of sense. So who do you guys think should be into the college football playoffs here? Type A if you think it should be Alabama, or type M if you think it should be Miami. Now, the big game here for the Crimson Tide that really is going to make or break whether or not they get into the college football playoffs is the ACC Championship Game. You have SMU right now ranked at number 8. You have Clemson back there at that number 17 spot. So what's going to happen is the Big 12 champion is going to take one of those two seeds, whether that's 11 or 12. Right now, the committee has them, forecasted to be that number 12 seed right now. But because Clemson is ranked number 17, that's an extra team outside the top 12. And if they win this game against SMU, they get an automatic bid. Hence why my frustration about we just talked about here a couple of minutes ago. I don't think a number 17 team should make it into the college football playoffs. I don't give a shit if you win the ACC or not. Right now, SMU, though, is a 2.5-point favorite in that game coming up here on Saturday night. We'll see what happens, but you definitely need SMU to win that game if you want a shot to make it into the college football playoffs. Now, another big question is, if Clemson goes in there and they win that ACC championship game and they blow SMU out of the water, what does that mean? I think it means at least by 21 points to be considered a blowout there. If SMU would then drop out of the college football playoffs and keep Alabama in there, it's a big situation. I don't know, if it's a close game, Clemson wins, I think they keep SMU in there. But if it's a blowout and Clemson wins, I think there's a chance that SMU might fall out. This is what Ward Manuel, the committee chairman, said about this situation of SMU possibly falling out of the college football playoffs. He said, if you take, for example, Tennessee ahead of SMU, Indiana is behind SMU. Tennessee will not drop below Indiana at any point. Neither team is playing, but SMU could move up depending on how we evaluate the game. They could stay where they are, or they could move down depending on the outcome of that game. So what that means to me is how I read it, how I heard it was there's a chance, they kept the door open that if SMU loses this game, big, that they could fall out. So, if Clemson wins this ACC championship game, that is your best hope. that Clemson ends up blowing SMU out. Now, like I said, if SMU wins, you are definitely in, but you want SMU either to win that game or for Clemson to blow SMU out. That's the only chance you got there. So basically, long story short, go Mustangs. We have got to be riding with SMU this weekend in the ACC Championship Game. If you really want the best shot, I would say, into making it into the college football playoffs, because like I said, if Clemson wins, the winner of the Big 12, I think, would actually get that 11 seed, and then Clemson would probably move up to that number 12 seed. But as of right now, the outlook is Alabama playing Notre Dame on the road, first round of the college football playoffs. Possible snow game there. That would be very fun. The last snow game that Alabama played in was the Sugar Bowl in 1964. I know that sounds weird, Sugar Bowl, it's in the South, but it did snow in 1964 for that game. Alabama actually beat Ole Miss 12-7 in that game. You can find some pictures out there online. It's pretty interesting to look at, but we'll see what happens. But like I said, really the game that everybody needs to focus on this weekend is that 8 p.m. Eastern time kickoff between SMU and Clemson.